You may or may not be aware of this, but this is the time of year when many literary nerds like myself celebrate William Shakespeare, because he was born on April 26th and died on April 23rd. In honor of those birth and death anniversaries, and that sounds terrible, I thought I would take a stab at doing a Shakespeare-themed video. I might do two, actually. This practical one and a more silly one, but we'll see. Now, in my case, as you've probably been able to figure out, I like Shakespeare. I always forget just how much I like Shakespeare until I start thinking about it and then go over some of my favorite lines, and then I remember, and then I just go full nerd. But I do acknowledge that there are a lot of people in the world who don't enjoy Shakespeare for one reason or another. There are some people who just aren't interested, or who remember being forced to read him in high school and that just left a bad taste in their mouths, or they think he's boring, old, stuffy, whatever. But there are other people who find him extremely daunting and stay away because they're afraid that what they read will just go flying right over their heads. Well, if you are one of the latter, I would like to offer some suggestions to encourage you. I've been in your shoes before, but since I had to read a lot of Shakespeare in school, I had to overcome those feelings. I came up with a few strategies to tackle a Shakespeare play that increased both my comprehension and my enjoyment. Before I share them, though, I want to offer this little disclaimer. These are my personal methods, and I can't guarantee that they will all work for all people, but my hope is that at least one of them will be helpful to somebody. So here we go. This is my list of 7 helpful hints for tackling a Shakespeare play. Number 1. As you go into it, have a desire to read it. You have to want this. Don't treat it like a high school English class that you're being dragged through. Number 2. Read from a copy that has handy background info, timelines, and especially keywords and phrases defined for you in the footnotes or on the side. I recommend using the Riverside Shakespeare textbook, which is what I used in school. And by the way, this stuff is not Old English. If it were Old English, I wouldn't even touch it. It's early modern English, which is way more accessible. So don't make the mistake of thinking that you have to master a foreign language to make it through Shakespeare. Unless, of course, English is a foreign language for you. Then, well, obviously. Number 3. Familiarize yourself with the plot before reading, and maybe after as well, using something like SparkNotes or CliffsNotes, or my personal favorite because it's funny too, Schmoop.com. Number 4. Don't dwell on every single word you don't know. You'll probably end up running to a dictionary so much that you'll lose track of the story. Now, I know this is tricky advice, especially if you don't have a broad grasp of the English language, but try to figure out which words are important and look them up, and just skip over the ones that don't seem important. I know you can get into trouble like that, and this might be one of those pieces of advice that works better for me, but not for somebody else, but it's a thought. Number 5. Remember that these are plays meant to be acted before an audience. Treat them accordingly. A. Try to visualize as you read. B. Read it out loud. Even act it out yourself if that would be helpful. C. Try to read the entire play at once. I know that sounds crazy and intense, reading an entire 5-act play in one sitting, but it's actually really helpful for keeping the thread of the story and all the different characters straight. So if it's at all possible for you, take a nice big 2 or 3 hour time slot and just go through it. But, number 6, stop and appreciate the language. Shakespeare is famous for a few different reasons, but first and foremost for his innovative mastery of the English language. When you come across something that sounds really good, you should pause, go back, read it again, and soak it in. And then number 7, watch a performance! Like I said, Shakespeare's plays were meant to be acted before an audience. I think it's great to see live performances. There's nothing quite like that. Films are also good. You get into kind of a mixed bag of interpretations there, and I don't want to get into that. I found a possible happy medium in going back and watching the BBC's old adaptations of Shakespeare's plays from the 1970s or 80s. These have some really great famous actors in them, and I think they did every single play. There have been a couple of times when I thought I had a firm handle on the action of the play, and then I saw it live, or I saw it in a production that was filmed, and I realized, wow, I didn't really understand what had happened in that scene. But more importantly, I think it can help you enjoy the play more when you see, especially professional, skilled actors who are familiar with all this stuff, and they are doing their thing. They are making this come alive. So those are my 7 helpful hints, my suggestions for how you might approach Shakespeare. I hope they will be helpful for you, one of them or all of them. Basically what I want you to get from this video is that Shakespeare is not impossible. There's some really great stuff in his work, and I don't want you to miss out on it. And so don't let your fear of ignorance or whatever it is keep you from trying to read one of his plays, because he's not that bad. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Thanks for watching this video. Bye!